Okay, my camera was doing some weird stuff the last time that I filmed, so here's to hoping it's not doing that anymore. If it is, I've been messing with it for like an hour and a half. I literally don't know how to fix it. What do you think I am, a professional content creator? January is hitting me in my seasonal depression quite hard. We're all doing our best. Okay. And what better way to kick off the new year than to look back at 2023 and all of the goals that I had for finishing a bunch of series that might not have quite panned out the way that I was expecting them to. So I keep a spreadsheet. I started this, I believe, either at the beginning of last year or the end of 2022, where basically I keep track of all of my series that I'm reading, the ones I've DNF'd, the ones I've finished, if I've caught up on them, what's going on. Not because I am someone who compulsively feels like I need to finish series. I am totally fine with DNFing books and DNFing series. I just like to know. I want to know how many books did I start versus how many did I finish, and we are going to go through and take a look at that. I did just some preemptive adding. That way we weren't here all day watching me just like tippy tap on my computer, to add in, from what I know, the series that I started, but I haven't like actually gone through since I updated this. It looks like sometime around the beginning of 2023, mid 2023, I started updating as I made way in different series, and then I just stopped and I didn't look at the spreadsheet for another 6 months. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm already really hot. Do we need another drink of Diet Coke? Yes. Yeah, that's what we needed. Should I start off with a quick overview of what's going on here? I think I made it pretty self-explanatory, literally just for me and ease of me being able to keep up with this. If a book is highlighted in one of these colors, this means that I did in fact read it that year. We've got blue, we've got purple, we've got a pinky, technically light red, but what is light red if not pink? And light green for 2024. There shouldn't be any light green on there. If a book title is normal, not italicized, it means that as far as I know, it's been published. If it's italicized like this, that means that as far as I know, / the last time that I updated this and checked Goodreads, it has not been published yet, and that's just to let me know that there's no way I could have read that book if it hasn't been published yet. So like, don't worry about it, bestie. That's none of your concern. What's going on with the italicized titles? Not your problem, okay? So I'm thinking we'll go through, update any that I have read for the rest of 2023, add in those little pinky highlights, then go through and decide any that I have caught up on / any series that I have finished. In terms of tallying, I'm gonna count caught up on, as in there's no way I could have read any more in the series, even if there are more coming out because they're not out yet, as finished. And I'm also gonna count the ones that I'm finishing as finished. And then I'm also going to move over the ones that I am not continuing on with, the ones I am DNFing, the ones I'm giving up on, into the DNF'd little tabby here. I started many more series than I thought I was going to. So here we go. I did in fact read Radiant Sin. That's not the same color. It is light pink, which is also light red, but technically not according to Google Docs. It is the light version of light pink, so we can all rest easy calling this color pink. I know we were all stressed about that. I don't know if I'm gonna continue on in the series, and here's the thing, is that I think I will, but I think I'm gonna start being a little bit more choosy with the ones that I pick. I believe that one of these 2 or 3, one of these here is Polly, and I do wanna read that. I loved Wicked Beauty. That one I believe was Polly. Radiant Sin was fine. I'm just like, the more I go on, the less I'm loving these. Neon Gods was such a hit for me, and I just feel like it just keeps going downhill, but I love how Katie Robert writes smut. I find a lot of smut, the way that it is written, not the things that it's talking about, the way it's written, it just like, I can't get into it. The language sometimes just doesn't vibe with me, and I feel like the way Katie Robert writes, it does vibe with me. And that's kind of what I've been holding on to the most. So I think I'm gonna end up kind of doing with the Dark Olympus series what I did with the Wicked Villain series, which is, as we can see, just started jumping around. I think I technically started Learn My Lesson, and then I was like, I'm not really feeling this. And then I randomly decided to listen to the audiobook of Queen Takes Rose, not knowing it was in fact the last in the series. But these are all, while they have some plot points and characters that they follow along the way, you can technically read them all as standalones, especially if you're not like that invested in the plot. So I feel good about that being the way that I proceed with these series. But I didn't read any more in Wicked Villains in 2023. I didn't read any more in The Plated Prisoner. I have not decided whether I'm gonna DNF this or not. I think it's actually one that I need to go through and just reread the entire thing. She might have even come out with another, let's look. Okay, no, the last in the series, Goldfinch, is coming out very close to gold, but okay. That's coming out in 2024. I think that this would be one that would be best just completely reread, maybe excluding Guild, because I think that that one is absolutely terrible. And honestly, is it even really necessary to read the rest of the series? I would argue kind of not, if you just like look up a synopsis of it. The rest, I actually really did like Glint. Did I read Gleam? I thought I read more than one of these, maybe not. I think they would be best consumed all in one chunk, is what I'm trying to say. But here, I can go ahead and move this to the completed series, Love. As we can see, there's not a lot of those. I don't want to hear it. Okay. Finley Donovan. This might be a hot take. I'm DNFing the series. I'm not even going to put in the rest of the book in the series because I am done. I wish I would have just read it, that Finley Donovan is killing it as a standalone. I know a new one is coming out this year. I just don't care. The third book was absolutely awful. The second book was fine. It's lost my interest. For Percy Jackson, I started The Titan's Curse and I felt like I got like 75% of the way through it. Then did I just like forget about it? Because I know I read a majority of that book. I don't want to put this on DNF yet. I think the next time that we do one of these videos or the next time that I update the spreadsheet, I'll have more of a definitive decision. I feel like this is one that I could continue on in. I just am not vibing with it as much as I thought that I would. And again, kind of feel like this would be a good series for me to read for like a video where I just read them all in a very short amount of time, because I don't think it's something that I'm going to keep coming back to if I'm not reading them back to back. But for now, I'm gonna leave it here. Just know, days are numbered. I need to finish A Pinch of Magic, although I did finish one of them last year. I just have A Storm of Sisters left. I do like this. I'm not loving it as much as the first book, but I am willing to see this entire series through. It's just a middle grade, lovely. Honestly, if you're looking for like a magical, whimsical middle grade with sister vibes, and they go on quest and they all have magical little items to help them with said quest, this is a good one. I just don't think anything's gonna top that first one for me. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I thought Cytonic was the last one. Then it wasn't. Defiant just came out, so I am planning on completing the series. I've read a couple of the novellas in Skyward Flight. I believe there's one more that people say that you want to read Cytonic first and then that last novella and then Defiant. So that's what I'm going to do. But I love this. I'm a Brandon Sanderson girly thus far. I haven't read a ton from him. I loved Skyward. Starsight was okay. Did really like the first two novellas that I read. I've heard Cytonic, it goes down a little bit, but I have heard really, really good things about Defiant, and I know that's the last book in this series, so I'm feeling good about completing this one in 2024. Fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. Another book completed, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I did complete that. I did think the first book was the best, for me personally. Oh, my Wayward Children series is just going to keep continuing. I actually just got the ninth book in the mail today that I'm getting ready to read, and I am so excited. So that one will be crossed off very soon, but not quite yet. Listen, I've been waiting on Nevermore to come out with another book, and she just keeps pushing it back. Take your time, but I would like to be able to finish it. But I literally cannot because this book has not come out yet. And it should have come out last year. It should have come out the year before that. We'll see about October of 2024. Heartstopper, I just got in volume 5. So that one is officially out. I'm really excited. I think I'm gonna reread the entire series, finish it off with volume 5, and just be in my Heartstopper era. That actually might be a really good thing for me to do soon along with my seasonal depression, because maybe it'll just give me the warm, fuzzy, lovey-dovey feelings I am needing. The Atlas Complex, I also just got today. Both Mislaid and Parts Half Known and the Atlas Complex came out today, January 9th. So I'm changing that from being italicized, but obviously haven't read it yet. I'm gonna go ahead and say, even though I own A Venom Dark and Sweet, and I don't know if this is duology or not, I'm going to put the Book of Tea as DNF. I don't remember a lot of what happens in the first book. I would have to go back through and reread it, and I just know that when it comes to YA fantasy, I'm not gonna do that. Unless it is something that is like absolutely incredibly amazing, that's not what I want to spend my time on. I am not going to move the Brown sisters to DNF. Get a Life with Chloe Brown, I didn't like. But I have heard people say that even if you didn't like that one, you should keep reading them. I just am trying desperately to get in my romance era, and I'm thinking of maybe doing a video where I read the romance books that I feel like the most are going to work for me. Like for one reason or another, from what I've heard about them and what I know of myself, I feel like they could work. And I think that possibly Actor Age Eve Brown would be that. But if it's not, I will not be finishing the series. Even though I do own all of the books, and I bought all of them before I read any of them. Cool. Oh, but for sure, something I absolutely am giving up on is the Graceling Realm. I am so disappointed in this. Bitter Blue I couldn't even get through. I tried so hard. It was so bad. I just don't think... she stopped following the format where each book we are following a different character. I didn't like what she did with the character. I was pissed that I was reading it. I wanted to pretend like it didn't exist, so I'm doing that. And I'm just leaving it at Graceling and Fireborn, or Fire. Just Fire. Fireborn's a different series completely. That's not on this list. I haven't started that. Have I? Or is that a different series I'm thinking of? Don't know. I absolutely do plan on reading Seasonal Fears and Tidal Creatures. Tidal Creatures, I believe, comes out in April. And again, it's Shauna Maguire. I love her. I've heard mixed things about Seasonal Fears, which has made me a little bit nervous. But now that I know that she's continuing on in the series, I'm in. I started Alloy of Law and then stopped making progress in Mistborn Era 2 because I heard people talking about how this last book, it's better if you've read a lot more of the Cosmere. and I have not. I've only ever read Mistborn Era 1. So I thought before I read Bands of Mourning and then have to stop, and then I'm gonna have to go back through and reread all of these before I read The Lost Metal, best to pause on this, focus on other books from the Cosmere from Brandon Sanderson, and then come back to Mistborn Era 2. Oh, if it wasn't very clear, there's no time for me to be giving you synopsis of any of these. We would literally be here all day, and I already have a feeling, since I like to overtalk, we are going to be here all day. Editing Alexa would not be happy if I was trying to do that. I did finish The Stone Sky, and I loved this trilogy so much. It was on one of my favorite books of the year. I actually think, hot take, that the second book, The Obelisk Gate, was my favorite. I am absolutely DNFing The Celestial Kingdom. The Daughter of the Moon Goddess was okay. It was good. I thought maybe that it would be one of those series that when I read it, the second book, that I would like the characters even more and I would get more into it. And I have tried a couple of times, and every single time I've ended up DNFing it because I'm just like not into it and I can't pay attention and I don't really care. And the way that the plot seems to be going, I'm just not a fan of. Which, this is very interesting because maybe this will show me a little bit more about what era I'm leaving, like my book reading era that I'm exiting, to give me a little bit more perspective on what book era I am entering. What are words? Don't know. I literally only say that because these last 3 series that I've DNF'd are YA fantasy books, which is exactly what I started reading, and I was always so nervous about reading adult fantasy because I thought that it would be too overwhelming and like too heady for me. But I actually think that maybe now, after having read a good amount of YA fantasy and now having started to read more adult fantasy, I'm a lot more comfortable with adult fantasy, and now I prefer the pacing of that and how long they are and how much time we get to explore the world and the characters a little bit more than I have been in a lot of the YA fantasy I've been reading. Not that I can't love YA fantasy, but maybe that I just need to be focusing less on that. Cloud in a Cornfield, I will read the second one at some point, probably when I just need something to like get me through, because I was not expecting to love this as much as I did, and I gave Cloud in a Cornfield 5 stars. I thought it was so campy and so fun and such a good time, and felt like watching a really bad 90s slasher film, but in the best way possible. Oh no. Okay, listen, if you watched my trying to be a romantasy girly vlog, you will know that Hades and Persephone by Scarlett St. Clair, not for me. A Touch of Darkness, not for me. The best part of it is that there was a main character, not a main character. The main character's best friend was named Lexa. And I did quite enjoy that, but otherwise, no, that's not gonna take me through the series. Hidden Legacy by Alona Andrews, I started reading towards the beginning of the year and was really loving it, especially the audiobooks. This is fantasy, yes, like a romantasy, but set in our world where magic exists and like people know that. And it's kind of like campy in a way, but it's done so well. And it isn't, like, it is over the top, but it's not over the top in the way that I thought it was gonna be, and it's not too much. And you just have to ignore this cover. Listen to me when I tell you that I wish that this had a different cover, because I feel like if this looked like any of the other romantasy covers that we see, it would do so well and the TikTok girlies would be eating it up. But I haven't made it all the way through the series yet. I kind of wonder if I'm gonna have to go back through and re-listen to a couple of them or listen to people talk about what happened in the plots, because I don't remember everything, and I do think I need that in order to keep moving forward. But I was really loving it while I was reading it, and I'm definitely not wanting to DNF it yet. I just know that I need to go back and like intentionally continue in that series. The Malice duology, again, from my romantasy reading vlog, didn't work for me. Will be DNFing that one. I read the first in the City We Became duology from N.K. Jemisin because I wanted to read something from her, and it actually worked out perfectly because I had literally just traveled to New York. And this is about the different boroughs in New York manifesting into humans and then having to fight to save their city from this monster-like presence that is trying to attack and destroy New York. It was so different from the 5th season, and I did enjoy it. And I will admit, as far as I know, this is a duology, and if it was any more, I probably wouldn't finish it, but I am interested and I do want to read the last book. Oh, but I skipped one. Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm happy just leaving Vicious by V.E. Schwab as a standalone. It wasn't amazing for me. I think that there are 2 different types of writing from like the little I know about V.E. Schwab and the little I've been exposed to them, and what I've seen online with people talking about their different like series and books. And I think one is in the realm of like Vicious in A Darker Shade of Magic, and then one is in the realm of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And I think this is the realm that I need to be in with V.E. Schwab, because Vicious was just fine for me. And I think it can be read as a standalone, and I'm happy to just leave it there. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, I absolutely loved, and I am really excited for the next book. Divine Rivals, I loved more than I thought I was going to, But I'm gonna be honest with you, the second book isn't on Kindle Unlimited. And do I care to pay for it? No. And do I care to place a hold for the ebook on Libby? I don't know yet. I don't feel confident enough to put it in DNF because I'm not 100% sure. But I think if we're being honest here, there is a very good chance that I'm not going to continue this because I know that it left on this plot twist and I just don't know if I care. I liked reading about their love story. That was the main thing I liked, was the connection between the two main love interests, but everything else was just like, fine. I read The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King back to back. I was not expecting, I don't know what even got me to finally start this. I think that I was hearing a lot of people talk about ACOTAR and how I'd heard people possibly compare this to ACOTAR. Oh, and I was trying to read as many of the books that I wanted to read on Kindle Unlimited before I finally did cancel my subscription for what I thought was hopefully going to be the last time for a while, because I have a bad habit about canceling it and then immediately reactivating it when I see that one book I want to read is on there, and then realizing that I'm really not getting my money's worth and then canceling it and then reactivating it. So I think that's where the reading Divine Rivals and this series came from, and I actually was like really loving it, and I think I even paid for the audiobook for the second one so that I could get through it quickly enough to finish it before Kindle Unlimited ended, because I was having just such a fun time. With that being said though, I don't remember how this ended, and I don't believe that it actually did end. I feel like I would have remembered that. So my guess is that there is another book that is going to come out, because I believe the second book literally just came out, but I don't see anything on Goodreads about that. So I don't know anything. So I'm gonna leave it on in progress, counting it as one that I have completed for now. Same thing goes with Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. If you saw my worst books of the year, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, just go ahead, move that shit into DNF, and to which I would say, I wish, bestie. But as much as I absolutely hated Iron Flame, I kind of hate it in a way that I love to talk about it, and specifically, me and my partner hated it in a way that we love to talk about it. And while I am not someone who feels like I need to complete series, my partner is. And I do not want to have to miss the opportunity to continue on in this series and talk about it with them, so I will be. Whenever this next book comes out, whatever it's gonna be, next year I think is when she said she's gonna publish it, toward the end of the year. She's taking a year, thank God, instead of less than 6 months. That is not to say that I am continuing on because I believe in it. And this would count as finished for now. The Veronica Speedwell series, I am definitely not putting this in DNF, but hold on. Before I start babbling on about this, I needed to figure out how many of these I have in fact read. There are so many. And that is 5 out of the, 10? 9? That I read pretty much kind of back to back to back, because I knew that this one was very important. But then here's the thing, is that I was not expecting it to be closed door, and I'm gonna admit that kind of turned me off a little bit from the series. Not that obviously going into this series, it is like, it's a romance with a mystery subplot, I will say. And there's different mysteries that kind of follow each book, but then there is an overlapping plot arc throughout all of the books, and you're following the friendship and the rivalry slash friendship, who knows what they really are, then into possibly lovers, romance, between Veronica Speedwell and Stoker. And it's a slow burn, and I was totally fine with that. Listen, this is my hot take. Just for how much that Veronica is so sex positive, for then this to be closed door, it just kind of felt weird to me. And then I just felt like I have experienced so much of these two. I've experienced all the emotions. I've watched them go through tragedies. I've watched their relationship ebb and flow. Why do I have to be locked out of that? So I'm sure I will continue on in it, but I'm less excited about it than I was, and that kind of put like a halt to things. Oh, getting in the ninth. Friend. Yeah, no. I am absolutely 100% DNFing this. I wanted to love Gideon in the Ninth so badly, and then I absolutely hated it, and I feel like I read a different book than 95% of people. And that's all I have to say about that. I read A Caught a Witch. I will continue on in the series. I don't have specific plans for it, but I definitely don't plan on DNFing it. I read Dumplin', which was so healing for me, and this is the book that like I wish that I would have read when I was a teenager, and I'm glad that I read it now, but I don't know if I need to like continue on in the series, so I am going to go ahead and DNF it. But with no malice, just knowing that like I got out of it what I wanted to get out of it. The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea is a little bit tricky because I did not know that this was not a standalone when I read it. And then at the end, it was like, stay tuned. I was like, oh no, this plot is not wrapping up in the way that it needs to be if this is a standalone. And it's not. I think it's a duology, or it is at least a series. And I don't know yet. I almost think I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's pretty safe to say I'm DNFing this. I am happy with letting it go. I just don't know if I'm in my YA fantasy era right now. Oh, well, with that being said, we do have my favorite series possibly of all time, which I guess is in fact a YA fantasy series, The Raven Boys. And I did complete all of it, read it all, put me in the biggest reading slump because I was convinced I was never going to read anything as good of it as it ever again. And that fact does remain to be seen. But I have moved on. I am back into reading. I have found some 5 stars. I was in a real big 5-star reading slump. That was wonderful. So glad I got to complete that this year. I read An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, which I am so glad I reread. I listened to the audiobook of it last year and I thought it was good. For some reason, the listening to the audiobook and reading physically along at the same time hit so different this year. I loved it. I bought the second book. I need to read it. Just having it. And this is what I was thinking of, not Fireburn, Furyborn. I read the first 2 and DNF'd the last one? Question mark? Or did I read the first one and DNF the second one? Okay, so I did in fact read the first 2, DNF'd the last one. I'm not going to continue on in the series. I literally could not tell you much about the plot past the first book. Hence why I couldn't remember if I DNF'd the second book or not, because I don't remember it at all. It's another YA fantasy. Witchlings is a magical middle grade fantasy series that I will end up probably just listening to the audiobook of the second one. It's not something I'm dying to continue further in, but I just every once in a while I need that soul pick-me-up, that getting out of a break from all of the dark shit, but it still has the magical elements that I love that middle grade fantasy offers me. And I feel like this is going to be a good series for me to come back to with that, because I loved all of the girls in the first one and I can't wait to continue on, see what they're doing. Furthermore, which I did not know was part of a series, and I didn't really like that much, so I definitely will be DNFing it. I wanted to love it. It wasn't my thing. Oh, okay, listen. When I was going through and putting in all of these books, I did not even bother taking the time to continue on and put all of the innumerable amounts of books that are in this series for Blood Mercy by Vela Roth. This is a Kindle Unlimited romantasy series following like vampire-esque, it's a supernatural romance book that has so many books that are so long, and I hated this book. Almost DNF'd it, definitely not continuing on in the series. I wanted to love it so badly and I don't understand. I don't understand why people love it. I don't get it. Wow, it was bad. Nothing happened. This one, even though I did just say earlier that I would read anything that Seanan McGuire wrote, and that, like, of course it's Seanan McGuire, I'm going to continue on. Deborah A. Baker is Seanan McGuire, but this is like a middle grade series that's kind of a spin-off of Middle Game, in the sense that in Middle Game they talk about this middle grade book that exists that is like written about secrets of their real world, but then Seanan McGuire went on to actually write that series, and I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm just not vibing with it. Or at least I didn't vibe with the first one, but I don't want to say that I'm DNFing it. I know that I believe it's Under the Smoke-Strewn Sky is this last one, or there's one more. And I just love Seanan McGuire so much, but I don't want to have ill feelings toward it. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is possibly try the Along the Salt YC, see how that goes, and if I don't like it, then I'll DNF the series. The Priory of the Orange Tree, also you would guess would be on my moving straight to DNF, since it was one of my worst / most disappointing books of the year last year. However, I do want to read A Day of Fallen Night because I think that this is the story she wanted to tell. I have started it. I think I'm going to have to not DNF it, but like pause it and start it at a different time, because there's just too many things that I need to read over the next few weeks. Not need, but like want to, and I want to prioritize. And this is a book that I could read like at any time, and it's so long. And I already know that I need to go back and just re-listen to and reread the entire book, because I was talking to my partner about it, because this is like her favorite series, and I was so confused. So I think I need to give it another shot and just start it over. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, I did finish. I loved it overall. I was a little disappointed in the conclusion of the third one, but I still think that this is like my top mystery thriller YA book. And it happens to be a series, so great. That being said though, you could just read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder as a standalone. I am keeping this on here because I have a feeling that Spy Family, manga and graphic novels don't always work super well for me unless they are like queer and cute. So the big exceptions have been Heartstopper and like the Tea Dragon Society. And I liked Spy Family, but I just don't know. I wish it was just a book. It's really just hard for me to get on with manga and graphic novels as like a format, but I'm trying, and I think that this will be good to continue on with when I feel like I'm in a slump or I just like need to have a win. I bought Fortune, Fire, and Stars at the dollar store back when I first started my reading journey, and I wasn't sure what I was really into. It wasn't for me. It was so boring. I didn't know it was like a quest travel story. There is no way, you could not pay me to finish this series. Absolutely DNFing it. Again, a YA fantasy series. Another series that I am DNFing and honestly never would have started if it hadn't been for the fact that my local book club that I love so much was reading it, is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. I believe this was self-published. Now I believe it's traditionally published, which I love. Good for her. I understand why people love it. Was not for me at all. At all. Nope. And then for the last one, All Systems Red, which is the Murderbot Diaries. I don't want to say that I'm gonna DNF it because again, I feel like since they're novellas, it's gonna be so good for me to come back on as a series that I already know whenever I need just a quick little win. But I just feel like I didn't fall in love with it the way that I thought I was going to, but that might be because I just didn't have enough time since it's a novella. And I might just need more time with the characters and the plot to see like where this is going. And it is, like, there are a lot more books in the series, so I could see myself continuing on, but it's not one that's like high priority right now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and calculate, hopefully before my camera dies, to see what we're looking at here. Just focusing on the 31 series that I started last year, 3 of those I finished, 4 of them I caught up on, and 12 of them I DNF'd. That's making me feel a little bit better. Mainly the fact that I'm DNFing a lot of them is what's holding this together, because that is a 71% success, not success rate, but I did something with some measure of finality to 71% of the series that I started last year. If we're not counting DNFs, that's 23%. I finished or caught up on 23% of the series that I started, which honestly is a little bit better than I was expecting, given everything. Does it bring me more joy to care about finishing series, or does it bring me joy to start the series that I want to start and finish them whenever and if ever I want to finish them? And I think that that is the answer. And that's the energy that I'm taking into 2024, is that I think I wanted to care about finishing series. And if we're being honest with ourselves, mainly because I see a lot of people care about that. But honestly, the main reason I have for wanting to complete series is if I read them kind of together, like I did with the Raven Boys, where I am reading the entire series and I'm getting something so fulfilling out of that because it feels like this moment in my reading. So I think that's gonna be my goal to focus on more in 2024. I really hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know what series you've started and completed and DNF'd. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for being here over this last year. It's been incredible. I can't wait for another incredible year on BookTube. I hope that you have a wonderful day. If you enjoyed, please remember to hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up button, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!